6 p.m. I'm the acting
Recording in
chairperson
progress.
tonight in the absence of Rob Rotalick, who couldn't make it tonight. And along with myself, I have Councilman Ken Demers, a member of the Public Works Subcommittee, Councilman Rachel Ryan, Councilor, right?
Councilwoman.
Councilwoman, that's
Yes.
even better. Also a member of the subcommittee, and Councilman Gary Lafferty.
How we doing?
Thank you. And if I'm going to call the meeting to order, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have the roll call?
Last meeting, you called the roll call and you just did?
I think you just did, didn't
Yeah,
you?
you just
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
Oh,
That works.
That's it, we're here. Thank you. And representing Public Works, other than the director, Jerry Lukowski, we have Joe Millette, Robbie Grand Prix, and Paul. Yes, sir.
All right.
Public participation. Any public participation? Anybody zooming in for public participation?
I don't think so.
nope, he says no.
Okay. Minutes. May I have the approval of the April 8th, 2024 meeting minutes?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the April 8th, 2024 minutes.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Oh,
discussion?
second.
No, any discussion?
Second, and any discussion?
Corrections?
Corrections? No? Thank you.
We're good.
oh, I abstain though, because I was not here.
You weren't there. We have an extension.
So you got,
Correspondence. Mr. Lukowski.
So I have no correspondence. I do want to say we receive in a month dozens, if not hundreds of calls, emails, and hundreds of work orders that we handle ourselves and take care of business for the town. So I have nothing that would rise to this point for correspondence.
all right.
Thank you, sir.
So going to old business, our pavement management program, the Public Works Subcommittee approved the paving list at the last meeting. It is online. The other big item this year is the first day of paving was on 6 May. Last year was at the mid to late part of July. So we have a great start this year where we started on Hungerford. I am going to turn it over to Joe Millette to give you some of the more finer details. But at the end of the meeting, under new business, I'm going to call up our consultants and the town's dashboard. I call it the beta dashboard. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Joe to show you where we're working in the town.
Okay, we have completed Hungerford Avenue. Took us 3 years, but we have completed it. There's about 9 small items that we have to punch list that we'll finish up. We have started the first section of Middlebury Road, which now we have the base course on. Today, they were putting the curbs and starting to do the driveway aprons. Right now, as of Wednesday, we're supposed to start the second phase, which will basically be from Cherry to Deerfield. And we're going to be ripping off all the curbing, and that's also going to include fieldwood. We're going to reclaim it, reshape it, and do the same thing. Put the base on it. Once that base is done, we'll put the top on the first section and move forward. We're going to be doing some crossings on the other last third of Middlebury, as well as a few other drainage issues. One is Mrs. Smalley's, which Jerry will talk about shortly. We have done all the basins on Evelyn as well as Barbara, including Davis Street Extension. If we run into a snag where we can't move forward, right now, we're going to move to Davis Street Extension, reclaim that and pave it, just in case we have some bad weather and things go on. Besides that, all of the crack sealing has been completed. Once Highway is able to get out and do some patching, and then once we have Seymour Smith seal coat and chip seal, we'll be in to start the chip seal program, which is quite a few roads. I can't list them off the top of my head right now. That's where we stand right now. Do we have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Actually, sorry, I do have one question. How do the residents of, say, like Middlebury Road know about the,
Okay. We have been putting in press releases on Facebook, the papers, on town websites. And basically, we've been keeping the road closed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with officers at each end, only allowing the public that goes in there.
Yep.
Right now, we're also still allowing school buses to go through,
Okay.
as well as Prime and other delivery people. But for the most part, it's been working good. We've had really no complaints from public. I mean, you get the few, why you're doing this now, but for the most part, everyone's happy to see it being done.
yep,
In fact, once the road was rolled, and they were flying down there.
yeah,
And they're probably not doing much faster than they normally do, but people assume they're doing a lot more because we've done that on other roads, and we found out after we've done traffic counts again, the speed limit really didn't pick up from what it was prior.
okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. For Wilson Street Bridge, we are going to start between Memorial Day and the 4th of July to finish it. It will be closed, so we could do sidewalks and the final paving and aprons, and we have some additional driveway work to do as part of the agreement for getting the bridge in. The one thing that's been holding us up is, on this project, is Altice. I would like to thank Mr. Gary Lafferty for giving me a contact. Esme Lombard, who is like our cable point of contact. But actually, when she answered the phone, she said Altice. So she's the Chief Governmental Affairs Officer for the state of Connecticut for Altice. I had a great conversation with her. She's going to elevate it so we could get the final cable moved off the poles and remove the poles at the Wilson Street Bridge. So thank you very much for that contact. And I also gave her information on Guernsey Town Road. So Wilson Street, it's going to start up right after Memorial Day. We don't anticipate it needing all 4 weeks, but that's what we're going to put out on the press release that goes out on the town website, the Public Works website, and our Facebook site for that. For Guernsey Town Road, they're actually boxing out the road, which is they're getting ready for paving. It should be this week or next week where they're going to start to pave it. We did hit a snag with Eversource. In early to mid-April, Eversource kicked out all of their subcontractors doing all their work across the state. It was part of their negotiations for the 18% pay increase, which I understand it did pass through Pura. But I didn't think it was smart for them to kick out all their contractors. Because our contractor that was working for them, it wasn't our contractor, it was their contractor. It was going to be done at the end of April, beginning of May, with moving the poles over and all the wires and cabling. All last week, I talked to up to 3 echelons within Eversource, and I understand they are out there today working their electrical part of the project. Once they're done, we don't have a timeline, then it's the other two cable companies that have to move their cables over. The concern is they have to relocate the entire road, and they can't do that until the old poles are out. We have some workarounds that our contractor, Guerrero Construction, is still gonna work, because the key is we don't want them to be, we don't wanna stop work waiting for Eversource, which has been done across the state, primarily in like Westport and Norwalk on the Boston Post Road. So they're working alternate plans, but I am disappointed with Eversource. And I'm helping them out on another Sunnyside. And I actually said, hey, why am I helping you so much on Sunnyside and you're not helping me out on Guernsey Town Road? So hopefully they'll get a full week's worth of work in. I learned a lot. They only work Monday through Thursday. They work 4 10-hour days, and they have Friday off, as well as the weekend. But with that, Guernsey Town's a large project. It's going to straighten out West Road, get it more of a 90-degree T, and not have that hump and hill when you're trying to take that right-hand turn. Main Street, we are in the negotiation phase with Ty and Bond for the safety improvements on Main Street. We had a productive meeting about a week or two ago. Joe and I have point on that one. Basically, they come up with their numbers, we come up with our numbers, and we negotiate somewhere in the middle for the numbers for that. The Steelbrook Greenway is under design. Our goal is to have it bid ready next winter, this coming winter, about 9 months from now. So we could put it out to bid late winter, receive the bids in the spring, and start construction next summer for the Steelbrook Greenway, which goes to French Street down to the existing pedestrian bridge. There is one additional bridge that's in the design, and that alone is going to be a $1 million bridge to get across the Steelbrook. This is 80% funded by the state and federal governments for it. It's Weston and Sampson is the designer. For F, the bids for the detention basins, we have around 8+ detention basins that we put out to bid. 10. And the low bid came in at $305,000. I'm looking to line up our state funding from Town Road Aid and LoadSIP, our local transportation capital improvement program, to fund both of these projects utilizing state funding. In the award that we're receiving, it's going to be a pretty higher than normal hurricane season. So our goal is to get them cleaned and have them ready for the future storms that are coming in. I know town bonding, we talked about it last time under new business, but I'm looking at 3 areas for paving, sidewalk, and drainage. I understand a target that the town manager had me plan for was $10 million as a planning number. And I'm going to show you more when I get to new business under the beta dashboard for that. But I'm probably also looking at $1 million in sidewalk and $1 million in drainage. Our backlog for sidewalks is $6.5 million. And our backlog for drainage, I don't have an exact number on that, but we definitely need a lot of drainage improvements across the town. Because the more that we could solve, the better that we could react to fewer drainage issues than what we have right now is dozens and dozens of drainage issues across the town. So if it is $10 million, my initial proposal is $8 million for paving, $1 million for sidewalks, and $1 million for drainage projects across the town. Drainage, one of them could be Knight Street. We did have some funding from FEMA. It was $20,000 or $30,000 towards the project. Not even close on what we need to put the pipe under the road that feeds all those businesses and primarily our bus depot that we have down there for the school buses. 760 Middlebury Road, Mrs. Smalley, she did sign the drainage agreement on Friday. It was a good 60 to 90 days of discussions to get to the agreement. I wanted to get it in place before we started the work, but we're still going to be able to meet the intent, which is a 2-by-2 foot catch basin in the low part of her driveway. And we're going to pave 2 feet beyond that with the new apron, so that problem would be resolved. The tie line coming in from the new drainage pipe is already in place. So it's not that hard for us, other than we have the 2-by-2 on order. And the catch basin just above her driveway is handling the majority, if not all, of the water coming off the road. But we do have a concern because she's still going to have water that's within her property. And then I'll turn over Northfield Road to Bob, who's handling this new emergency that we have with a collapsed pipe just to the north of the Wilson Street Bridge.
Before you go on to that, can I ask a question? On D, on Main Street, tie and bond, did you say that, is that where we're going to decide what side of the Main Street you're going to fix down by the pin shop? Or is that under another program?
That's under another, well, Main Street is like 2 phases. The full design is going to be more in Watertown, and we have to do some more preliminary work for the Oakville section of Main Street. So we are going to do work on both areas of Oakville and Watertown. If the sidewalk, if the $1 million came in for the sidewalk, we'll be able to improve some of the sidewalk at the pin shop. But that could take all $1 million of the sidewalk program. The goal for our $1 million for the sidewalk is to take care of the majority of our public schools, sidewalks, not within their property, but our town sidewalks leading to the schools, and also the private schools that are in town too. So we're only going to get so much done because it's a $6.5 million program, but it's to focus on students walking to school, both public and private.
All right, and the last question is on the retention basins. You said there's 10 of them that went out to bid?
Correct.
And is that $300 for?
$305,000 for all 10.
$5,000, okay.
Correct. So it's something that we haven't done before, so our rule of thumb right now, it's like $30,000 a basin.
Oh, okay.
For the 60 basins that we have, I provided that spreadsheet, I think it's 59,
Yeah.
last meeting, after the last meeting, that showed the town basins as well as the private basins that planning and zoning in inland and wetlands is going to go through with enforcement for those private developers to clean those basins. So you know, 30,000 times 60, that's $1.8 million. But we're still going to take a few on from highways, but also for $30,000 worth of work, we won't see the highway team for a week or 2 or 3 just on one basin where they're not, you know, because they haven't been maintained since they were built. Some of them have, the ones we could see. But we have to get to all 59 of them across it. And it's going to be a multi-year thing to get to all the basins.
Jerry, just a reminder, we're also looking into, as far as pin shop, possibly taking the paver and overlaying that to eliminate that nasty sidewalk down there temporarily.
Yeah, I know you said you were going to check with the owner to see which side of the street he wanted to have done. Or which.
I think the right side coming in from Water is the most used because of all the different businesses right there. But still, we have to look at whether the paver can fit there neatly, and once it's repaired, then we can attempt to do something like that. And that's something between Jerry and Bob. We are looking at doing that for a temporary.
Yeah, and we haven't fully staffed that, but it's just one of the thoughts that we have. But then if we also put down a thin coat, I'm not sure how long it's gonna last.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else before
No,
we
that
get
was
to
it. I just, I
Northfield?
knew he talked about, he mentioned about that last month, so I wanted to see.
Yeah. As far as Northfield Road goes, it's 239 Northfield, if you guys remember Chief Black.
Yep.
His driveway, it's right in that same area. It's about halfway between Hopkins Road and L&K Drive. We've been down to one lane for the last month or so, waiting for pipe to come in. We finally got our pipe. We finally got everything lined up. So we actually started today. We were kind of in a time crunch because we don't want to have our area closed down at 239 Northfield while the Wilson Street Bridge is also closed down for finishing. So we were fortunate to get started today. And we're hoping to be done by the end of the week, but we have some rain coming, so that may put a little delay in our project. And it's more of that, it's not that we just can't work in the rain, it's because the rain's gonna cause the river, or the brook that we're trying to divert, it's gonna cause some more problems for us. We may need a bigger water pump or something like that. So anyways, we started today. We started building the coffer dam and the plunge pool to hold the water back, where we're gonna drop in the pump. We'll pick up the water pump in the morning. We already have the pipe in stock. One of the issues we have in the area is Waterbury's 36-inch water main runs right underneath the area we're working in, so we have to be extremely careful with that. We're going to try to use the existing pipe bed that's there when we take the old pipe out, which was a galvanized crush pipe, they call it. It's an odd shape. It's 40 inches by 52 wide, and we're replacing it with a 48-inch perfectly round ADS black plastic pipe. And we're going to use what's called flowable fill, which the reason why we want to use this, it's a type of concrete slurry manufactured by O&G. It doesn't require compaction to set in place. So we can use we're hoping to use the existing pipe bed, lay the new pipe in the place of the old pipe, pour this, which basically comes out of a concrete truck, pour this around the pipe, and there's no compaction necessary. It's called flowable fill for a reason. You just need to hold the pipe down so the pipe doesn't float. If you guys are familiar with putting in septic tanks, you have to make sure you fill them before you backfill them in case you get a big rain. The pipe or the tank will pop right out of the ground because it'll actually float. So we're hoping to get the new pipe in the ground, get the flowable fill in place, and hopefully before the weekend, at least get the road open for two-lane traffic with gravel up to grade. In best case scenario, it doesn't rain and we get everything paved before the weekend, but with the weather forecast, it looks like it's more likely going to run into next week. So, any questions on Northfield Road?
Through the chair. Okay. What goes through this pipe?
It's tributary of Steel Brook. I forget the exact name of it, but it's a little brook that runs through the existing pipe now.
Okay.
Well, what's left of the existing pipe. There's no bottom in the pipe. The bottom of the pipe rotted away. So it's actually collapsing. That's why the road was collapsing.
Okay.
And we're going to use a big water pump to divert the water flow around the work area back into the same brook, but we're just going to skip over our work area. We're going to go through catch basins to get the water out of our way.
Oh, okay.
So barring any big storms, we should be okay with keeping up with a big water pump.
Yeah.
It probably basically handles everything to the east of Northfield Road, probably to the north of L&K. So it's probably a 5, 10, 15 acre area that catches stormwater and it flows it through the 48-inch pipe. Otherwise known as a culvert, and we probably have hundreds of culverts across the town.
Yeah.
But for this one, it's on the large end at 48 inches.
That was the delay in getting the pipe. Nobody stocks a pipe that big generally. So they do make it, but it had to come right from the manufacturer.
So the good thing too is, and the proud thing is, it's our town forces, it's the highway department taking this project on. And it's probably, when's the last time you did something of this size? It probably happens, but not like every single year.
Tower Road off of Riverside, the bottom of the hill.
When was that?
10 years ago.
Okay, 10 years ago. So, I'm very proud of Bob and his team, and I know the capability that they could do something like this for the town. But it's probably going to take the majority of the department you know, to focus on it for a week and a half to get it done.
We'll keep the sweeping going and a couple of other small repairs around town, but like Jerry said, the majority of, and two of our bigger machines will be down there too.
The only question I had is, are they doing away with the elliptical pikes now? Or you said you're going with a...
No, they still make them.
Yeah.
You can still put them in the ground, but they have a limited lifespan. We don't want that. We'd
Yeah,
rather
no, I don't
spend-
know if they made the corrugated
They
ones.
do.
Like,
Oh, yeah. They do,
And
yep. We just wanted something that was lifetime.
Okay.
For the extra money, it's worth it to put it in the ground and never have to worry about it again. You know, well beyond my lifetime and my children's lifetime. It should be in the ground forever.
Thank you.
There's one other, we should not on this, there's one other project before we get to.
I just had through the chair, just a couple of quick questions, Chair, on everything that you went over already. Where along the Steelbrook Greenway are we going to require $1 million bridge?
It's right near French Street.
So French Street getting...
Yeah, it goes right, the Steelbrook goes underneath French Street.
Right.
And then it curves back towards the firehouse, and then it goes straight
Okay.
again.
Okay, good.
It might be 700,000, might be,
Yeah.
800,000.
Where Mark's Landscaping used to keep his stock supplies.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was the area. I just wasn't sure, but okay. One more question here. What else did I have for you? Oh, vac truck. Any update on where we are with the vac truck?
We, I know, I talked to the town manager's office last week and to see if we could rent a vac truck that was under the insurance policy. And they said it wasn't part of the insurance policy for it. We definitely need a replacement. But I know it was at the wrong timing. It was because of the way the budget cycle was running, because the budget was closed.
Right.
But I also know we have to evaluate the need, which I know in Bob's, in my case, is there is the need for the vac truck, especially for the MS4 requirements, which is the municipal storm, sewer, water requirements that we have to clean 20% of our catch basins throughout the town. And it's just not that part of it, and Bob could bring up other items that we use the vac truck on.
Sure, leaf cleanup, ditch cleanup, hydro excavating, which I wish we had it for the project we're working on in Northfield Road, because it's perfect for soft digging, because you're using water and suction, and I'd love to find the 36-inch water main with water and suction and not a backhoe bucket. So it's good to identify exactly where the pipe is, and we used it on Wilson Street Bridge for just that. We used it to find the 36-inch water main.
Right. So I'm sorry, I wasn't questioning what you guys used it for. I was questioning whether we were replacing it. So that's an insurance claim, correct?
Correct.
Right. So it really doesn't have to do with the budget unless, of course, it was insured for half of what it was worth. I mean,
I do know, especially of a piece of equipment like this, it's not going to be an easy insurance claim.
right.
It was about 2 to 3 weeks ago. There had to be about 20 to 25 folks at the scene of the fire. But half of them were insurance adjusters and the other half were from the state fire marshal's
Gotcha.
office, taking all their pictures of it. We hope it's a claim and they cover the entire claim.
Right. Okay. Okay.
For that.
One other question about 760 Middlebury Road. I know originally there was, prior to any of the work that was done on Middlebury Road, just as of recent, there was an agreement that we went into with Ms. Smalley about what she was going to be responsible for and what we were going to be responsible for. Has anything changed?
No, that's right on target. So she's responsible for the maintenance of the drain.
Okay.
And not us, because we would get the monthly calls to clean that 4-inch PVC pipe that we had. She is responsible for the maintenance.
I only asked because you said it took like 90 days to get her to pull a pen out of her purse and sign it. So
Yep.
I figured she was trying to renegotiate.
Oh, that was part of the renegotiation, that she wanted us to clean the basin, and I say, we had 5,000 basins, that we don't even get to all 5,000 basins, so.
I get it.
You can't have us come out every month. And she's doing some smart things, she's evaluating, well, she wanted us to take down some of the trees that impact the maintenance of it. And the majority, not all the trees are on her property. And there's one tree that drops most of its leaves, and they actually look like tulips or bananas onto
Oh,
the
yeah.
driveway.
Sure.
So if she takes that one tree down, then it's gonna solve a good part of the maintenance of her basin.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
And you reminded me, and Bob did too, is the pipe at Northfield Road is the 36-inch main for all of the drinking water for Watertown and parts of Waterbury is a few feet below this main. So it's slow and steady, and without the vac truck, it's a little bit harder of a job for us to locate the main that's out there. And just one other thing is, I know we're working with the town manager. I'll get the term wrong, but we're gonna do a vehicle study of our fleet. So I know Dave is doing it for water and sewer, Paul and Joe's doing it for engineering, and Bob is doing it for the highway department to validate the need for all of our equipment across the fleet. So it's a big task, especially for highways, because of all the pieces and parts that we have for that. Is there any other questions?
Yes, sir. Regarding the sidewalks, in the past week, there was a job along the Main Street. It looked like a state job. It may have been something to do with Eversource. They were by poles. They were putting like anchors where the poles would have been, and
Which
they were using-
location?
I don't know. They were using local traffic control.
They were just down in Oakville this afternoon. I
It was in
went through there.
Watertown.
Yeah.
And the job was such a job that, I don't want to talk about the traffic. The traffic was backing up for
Yeah.
2 days. It was in the morning, and then they did it in the afternoon. What were they doing? Does anybody know? Because I.
No, it's now I know what you're talking about on Main Street in front of the car dealership.
Yes, and further
It's,
north.
There was like 3 spots. I think it was all Eversource repatching their patches.
So, and it was done on a state road, so we don't get like notification for that. So I really don't know, other than what Joe mentioned.
Have you seen it, Les? Did you see?
Well, I saw it because it was also affecting Middlebury. Everyone was trying to bypass Main Street and come to Middlebury, and then they were getting
Yes.
frustrated because they couldn't get to Middlebury either.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the
It
traffic
wasn't
was-
us, I know that. Thank you.
The day that I drove through it on purpose to feel the pain, because I wanted to see what work was going on, there was local Watertown police officers on
Yes.
the project, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think they were milling out their temporary patches and paving them with permanent patch, is what they were doing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
There's one other project I would like to add, and that's on the Naugatuck Valley Greenway. And I'd like Paul to give an update on the project. I don't have it on the agenda here, but just to give an update, if that's okay.
I don't know if they have to add it to the agenda.
Consider that to be Jay?
I think you just let me do it. Let me do it.
Okay. Yes, sir, Paul.
Okay, yeah, just a couple quick things on the Greenway. We did send out an RFQ back in March for consultant engineers for help us with the design work. For the Greenway, we're going to do a fair amount of ourselves as volunteer for our part of the 20% we're getting from the state, or from DEEP, from this project. And we received 6 applicants. We're working on a short list of like 3 or so that Jerry and I and Joe are going to go over and have them hopefully interviewed within the next few weeks. And we'll let you know how that works out. It's probably the next subcommittee meeting. One other item, back in March, we also submitted an application for additional $300,000 for our part of the design work.
in addition to the $299,635, I believe we received last year from DEEP, because after consulting with members at NVCOG and also some of the additional towns that are building the Greenway lower down the valley, they said there's just not enough money and the grants that we got already is, plus the section, almost 2.4 miles along the river up to Thomaston, we've got walls and rock cuts and drainage. There's a lot going on, and so we submitted an additional request for $300,000, which we will receive. We'll be notified. There's a competitive bidding for this throughout the state, but by next month in June, we're supposed to hear results of who got what for this additional funding as part of this year's DEEP grant. So that's where we're at on the Greenway.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That concludes old business, if you want me to get into new business.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things I've been working on the side is transfer station pricing. I propose at the next meeting, I go through what the proposed fees are. Just a couple of the key ones is the yearly permit from $20 to $25 for the yearly permit that's taken. I know there's some towns that don't charge. There's other towns that charge around us. And there's even other towns that charge anywhere from $75 to $125 for a yearly permit. Another item is sofas. I'll get the numbers wrong, but I'll be close. I don't have the sheet in front of me. We currently charge either $20 or $25 a sofa, but we pay $50 to have it removed. And proposing that we go to around $35 to $40 a sofa. I don't want to charge the higher amount because they'll be dumped on the sides of the road. And then for highways to pick them up, it'll be a lot more costly than for us just to lose I'd rather lose $10 on a sofa than currently what we're losing now is about $25 a sofa that we do. The other thing was just we don't have pallets on there. Pallets would be $5. And also toilets we don't have on there right now, and I think that was also $5 for it. We run a very efficient and effective transfer station. We're a cost center around $300,000 to $400,000, and we collect about $200,000, which is unheard of a town our size. Usually they're paying about $500,000 to $600,000 for a town of our size. I know Southbury is 1.1 million. When the last I was doing that budget for them. So I don't know if you have any guidance or any thoughts for transfer station pricing. I'm not looking at going at every single number. And also, a small bag is $2. A medium bag is, the larger bag is $5. But one of our medium-sized bag is $3, going to $4 per bag with that. So there is a change within the base of the pricing for bags, but not for the small and not for the large bag.
I have a quick question through the chair. I just wanted to make sure I understood this correctly because I've never had a permit for the transfer station because I just, I have Copes or USA hauling or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you saying you're going from $20 to $25? Is that what you said?
Correct.
So does that $25 mean that someone with a permit could bring their garbage there every day?
Correct, and they do. So currently, you pay $20 for the year,
Okay.
from January 1st to December 31st, just to have the permit.
Right.
You have the permit and the sticker on your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first thing they look for is the permit, and then they tell you what they have, and our team does a quick count. I got 3 small bags, and they're like, okay, $6.
Okay, so
for
you
that.
do pay for what you drop off? Okay.
Correct.
That was where I was going. Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
And we do start selling permits like late November. So if somebody comes in November, we don't charge them $20 for the last like 4 to
Right.
5 weeks. We say, give us $20 and we'll give you next year's permit for that. We're reasonable
Yeah.
with the community and citizens.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now, with the revenue that's coming in, you said we get roughly 200,000 a year?
Correct.
Is there a line item for that, or is it just a rough, or how's that?
No, there's a line item that is kept by upstairs
Yeah.
from the finance office for that. So I haven't looked at it this year to see where we're actually trending for that.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they use that, any of that money there to help offset expenses for what's needed up there, like.
I know it's like all of our revenue accounts, it goes into the general fund.
Okay, all right,
So it's not like dedicated for us.
all right.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I think that makes sense about the SOFA, what you said about, not charging the full amount, because then they'll
Correct.
leave it on the side of the road. So I agree with that idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're also looking at where we're on the transfer station is becoming more, it's more of a paperwork drill with permits. And we want to try to get a tablet up there so they can enter it in via tablet, because they bring all their checks. We take cash, checks, and credit card. And I'd rather everything, and we do give out receipts, but I'd rather everything be on like a tablet, and you could give like an electronic receipt. And but we're far from getting to that point, because we have to find the right platform that the town wants to use in other venues too, like for Parks and Rec when they're giving out permits, for that. But at the transfer station, we don't have IT, we don't have fiber, Wi-Fi, there's no computers. So that's like the first step for us, to give us a backbone, and then we could go to a system like that. We have two great employees working up there, because they know how to enforce the standards with paying, but they also have compassion, and they know how to de-escalate things. One's a retired state prison officer, the other one's a retired federal prison officer. So we're and I think out of the 18 months I've been here, I don't even think I got a complaint. In Southbury, I was getting a complaint every other week where I would have to talk about the resident where somebody from the transfer station said the wrong thing to a resident. So I just like to highlight my team where they're doing great jobs.
Through the chair.
Okay.
Now, the transfer station's only open, 2 or 3 days a week?
3 days a
3
week,
days a week,
correct.
yeah. So what do you do with the employees the other 2 days?
One of them's part-time, so
Okay.
believe it or not, we're 1.5 full-timers. So the full-timer, the other 2 days a week, he hauls. So,
Okay.
which is kind of unheard of too in other towns, because they have contractors pick it up. So we haul to the Frost Bridge, and we haul to the southern part of Waterbury. So both those days, in the refuge, the garbage can't sit for longer than 72 hours. So the 2 days that were closed, that are work days, we're hauling the trash to both of those locations. Southbury has 2 full-timers and about 6 part-timers, and they contract haul. So that's why they're 1.1 million. So the next one, if there's no more on the transfer station, is the highway garage. I just don't want to forget about the highway garage. I know for future bonding, if we have a plan, that it's submitted into the program. But maybe it's just the start is I would probably need to commission a study, a consultant to do a basic design, or what I'll call a charrette, where they get the ideas mainly from Bob on the space criteria that is needed for a garage, and then come up with parametric estimates on the cost for that. But probably anywhere at $15 to $25 million for a new highway garage. But I'm just throwing out a little bit of a guess. I'd rather have a more exact number for that. I did talk to the former Public Works Director, Lou, who they did build a garage up in the town that he went to. And we're gonna get I'm trying to schedule a tour for that garage. And what was he Cromwell or Rocky Hill? Cromwell, to see the type of garage that he built for his team up there in Cromwell. So, if there's no questions on the highway garage, or Bob, I don't know if you have any input on that?
Or Joe,
That would be a whole separate meeting. The other thing too is I would like to, we really wanted to invite you up in the middle of the winter to have one of these meetings. But we could also have you in the summer to take a visit to the garage, so we could have our Public Works Subcommittee meeting at the garage, and you could see how we operate.
That'd be great.
So I don't know if the next meeting is on 10 June, if you want us to schedule it at the highway garage. So I'm sure Bob's gonna get out there and get the broom out and
Yeah.
have a broom ready. We'll buff the floors.
that'll be a barbecue meeting, won't it?
Yeah.
I had one question on the highway. Jer, on the highway, I know you talked before, you said something about the building's not strong enough to hold the fire suppression type thing, or I just wonder, like if you wanted to put a sprinkler system in or something?
Yeah, it's a wooden roof, 1954. The building code really wasn't out there at that time in 1954. And it's just not like fire pipes that are an inch or two. You're talking fire pipes that would be 6 to 10 inches in diameter to handle the fire suppression.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they'd be able to like somehow fasten them to the pillars or whatever inside the garage.
You gotta, when we come out on 10 June, you'll see what we have to deal with. And also the height isn't there. The trucks would run into the pipes.
Yeah.
We could barely fit a truck inside the garage for what we have. But we'll definitely have an open house on 10 June in the Public Works Subcommittee. We'll probably meet in the break room with the single window air conditioned unit that we have.
When they gonna start the addition or the expansion?
That's one of my things I'm working on next. I know the DECD just approved the $500,000. And it's more of just to give us some basic life support for what we currently have. And it's hard to talk about it in a new building that you'll see, we'll go back to the 1950s when we go inside the garage. So, for that. The last thing that I have, I'm gonna switch over to the computer and talk about our dashboard for pavement management. Maybe if we could shut off a light or two that we have. So I know you could see it up above me. Probably these lights too.
There you go. That's perfect.
So this is our dashboard for pavement. So we're currently we need $42.68 million for our improvements for the road network across the town. If I zoom in on the town, you'll see, and it's like a traffic signal. Red is bad, yellow is in the middle, and green and blue is better or good. We have 142 road miles. We have 2.14 million square feet of pavement across the town. And our current road rating is 63.25, which is our RSR. That's based out of 100. The state average is a 72. That's our goal for that. We put $4 million into the road last year, so and we were at a 61. So we gained 2 RSR points, but in reality, we gained 4 RSR points, but in the rest of the road network, we lost another 2. So it was a net gain of 2 overall. This number used to be around 44.5 million, so you're saying, why isn't 40.5 million? Because each year we lose about $2 million worth of road life. So if all I received was $2 million, we would just be able to maintain what we have and not make any improvements on the road network. It's basically just limited to no funding over the past 20 to 30 years across our road network. If I go into the color charts, so these are our, one more time. So these are our failed roads. These roads need the most amount of improvement in the town. So this alone needs $26 million. So even when we get $10 million, we're still going to have a majority of the roads that are failed within the town. I hate delivering bad news, with it. And this one is a category that we could get away with mill and pave. The red one is more full-depth reconstruction. I know with Paul and Joe, we're looking at hot in place and cold in place type of construction, which is a little bit more expensive than mill and pave, but a lot cheaper than full-depth reconstruction of what we have. But just with mill and pave, we have $13 million worth of work to be done. The next category is more of like your chip seal for the roads. And this blue one is really no work needs to be done. These are the good roads in the town. And this one, this other lighter blue, is the road systems that really just need to be crack sealed. That's $273,000. The other parts I'd like to pull in from that is I could zoom into any of the road network and I could pick a road. And the one road I like to focus on is I don't think I'm going to get it here, but I'll just pick. Oh, here it is. That's Middlebury Road. So this is, you're going to see it this coming week. So that's Fieldwood.
Yes.
And you could see on a on a 0 to 100 scale, the RSR for Fieldwood is a 9. So if you drive down Fieldwood, it's our worst road that we have in the town. It's a short cul-de-sac, and you could see that's why one of the reasons why we picked this road. But on any of the road network, we have the RSR ratings on each and every road. The other part that I have with this is what we have done over the past 10 years. So you could see, this is last year, that we did 22 miles. The year before, we did 1.2 miles. The year before that, 7.8, and so on. And there was even one year we didn't do anything. That was 2017. There was no road work that was done. So all these years combined, they basically equal what we did last year. So thanks to the town council, the public works subcommittee, and my team, is we were able to do 22 miles worth of road, and a lot of it was on the shim skim that the highway department did with our own paver last year for that. So if we spent if we did like 10 to 20 miles a year, we wouldn't be in the problem right now. The pothole crew, Bob, tell me if I'm wrong, they're out on the road each and every day filling potholes from the failed roads. We did get our first hot box. We didn't have a hot box before. It's basically a trailer that keeps the material hot, because we used to get it from the plant, and by the end of the day, you had cold material that you could throw in the pothole, but it's gonna rip up within a week or a month for that. There's couple other things I'd like to mention in what we have. I'm not fully satisfied, but if you go to Google Streets View, only about a third or half of the town is in Google Streets View. But I could go into here and we have pictures of the entire road network, and it helps us out where they'll say, Bob, you damaged my apron this past winter. And we could go in and look in history and say, no, the apron was damaged before the winter even started. It wasn't our paving truck that came in and ripped out your apron. It was something else that happened on the street. And the other thing, as we're learning our systems, these are the signs. This is all the traffic control signs that we have across the town. And I could pick this one, most likely it's a stop sign. So, or on this case, it's a street sign that it picked up, and it told us what the catalog number is for that. But I could do this with all of our signage that we have in the town for regulatory purposes. I'll just do one more and I won't bore you any further. So this is a stop sign, and for a stop sign off that, what's that, AASHTO, Bob, when we order, or the Uniform Code of Transportation? MUTCD. So that sign is a R1-1. So it helps us when we're ordering signs for the highway shop.
Very nice.
The other tab that we're talking about is we want to put the sidewalks in this program too, with the same category for sidewalks. We also want to have a tab in here. So this is going to end up becoming our infrastructure portfolio manager, is all of our 59 detention basins with the graphical representation of what was cleaned and what has to be cleaned. I also want to put bridges on here too, because once we get done with Wilson Street, we're going to be, I think we're good for a period of time for bridges. It's just that we have to focus more on the culverts in like what we have on 9th Street. So I just wanted to show the Public Works Subcommittee the tool that we're using, that instead of, I'm glad you kind of leave it to me to pick the priorities. And this is what we go to with the help of the engineers and that we have on the staff, and also Bob. So when we did the $10 million plan, Bob was able to focus on what roads we want to shim and skim. Because we don't want to shim and skim a road, and then the next year we're paving it and we're wasting that funding that we're putting down on it. So that was a big thing that helped all of us, was to have at least a plan for 10 million. And then Bob's able to focus on the rest of the roads with a shim and skim. So Do you have any questions, or if you want to look at anything on this?
Yeah, through the chair, I have a question or two. This is really nice, Chair. My first question is, all the upgrades that you want to do, is that something that you guys do, or do you have to have the software people do it?
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
So we have Mike Zoller, who's our GIS expert. So he gets most of the information, and then it gets integrated within this beta package that we have.
Yeah.
We already paid for the sidewalk study from beta, so they just have to add the tab for sidewalks. We had the information on GIS for the detention basins, so it's just more that this the hours, the few hours they're gonna spend to upload it within this.
Gotcha. And is the GIS, is that up to date? So the pictures that you showed us, how often does it take a new picture? Or is that the picture that came with it when we initially bought it?
So that's a picture that came with the first pavement management study that we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're talking about updating the pavement management possibly next year. So I would like to, usually towns do it every 3 years to get a new snapshot of where their road network is at. I'm not happy with the photographs because I can't do it like street view. I have to come off that dot and go on the next dot. I'd like to just like drive down the road as I click it like on street view, and it doesn't do 360. So we're pushing the consultant to get to that level so we have better capability with it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to follow up on that, so when you said, I think you said something about Google, so those are images from Google, or those are images from Beta that as they
They're
drove
from
through?
us, from the consultant beta.
Yeah.
So
okay.
as they were doing the LiDAR, light
Right.
radar on the road to come up with the RSR rating, they were also taking photographs.
Pictures. Okay.
Every 30 to 50 feet.
Okay. And I had another question about the map. It looked like a lot of the roads that were needing to be repaired were in Oakville. I mean, it's hard to tell, but I don't know, it seems like there's probably a lot more roads
Well,
in
there's a lot
Oakville.
more roads in Oakville
Yeah.
than there is up north.
Right, okay.
There's probably 3 to 4 times the density of roads in Oakville than when you get up into the northern part.
Okay,
So the roads spread out when you get up north, so you might only see 2 or 3 roads up north in a certain part of the town, but if it was Oakville, there would be 4 times the amount of roads built up within that area.
okay, so obviously you're aware of that, and you don't, I'm just sort of wondering if there's like a percentage of roads that are in bad repair in Watertown versus Oakville.
It's really spread out kind of evenly across the town
Yeah, okay, all right, that's good to know.
for that.
Now, on your map program there, does it also include like all your storm drains and like the culverts in there? And
We have that on the pure GIS side of it. I really don't want to go to the consultant because then it gets really complicated and costly.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get the low-hanging fruit that doesn't cost much to have a tab that's on it. And I also don't want to go too far on the inspection and we don't have the money to repair it. I would rather just focus on areas that we know that we have problems right now, other than to say, do our 40 miles of drainage pipe, and we know we're only gonna have enough of money to repair a mile of it. Why spend the money, other than knowing, oh, we need another $50 million for drainage? So, for that. I'd rather focus on the roads, the sidewalks, and the drainage areas that are severe and that we know of.
I have one more through the chair, if I could. Where's your stick, Jer?
Sticks in the office. We're above the stick right now. We're at 8 feet of stormwater. In the
We
past-
hit 8 feet?
We hit 8 feet, so it's higher than the stick. Luckily, the past couple weeks has been dry in relative terms.
Yeah.
We're around 20 5 inches of rain this first 4 months, and the average was around 15. So, but even a month or two ago, we were at like 20 inches of rain, and the average was 5. So it was really screaming at us.
Could I just move back to the highway garage real quick? I know you mentioned you're thinking like, and I know this is very early on, but
Correct.
15 to 25 million bucks. We don't plan on spending that on Burton Street, do we?
No.
Okay.
It would be a new location. And that's where I'd like to get a consultant. Is it to the north of the transfer station? Is it Northfield Road where we lost a vac truck?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That has, Burn Street's 2.5 acres. That site right there is 5 acres. Plus there's another acre or two of the old golf maintenance building, I guess, used to be in this lot. That's to the left of the greenhouse. And so we could probably put together about 5 to 6 acres, or about close to 3 times the amount of property that we have on Burton Street.
Nice.
Because it would be great to have a salt shed at the highway garage and not do the shuffle that we have to do from the transfer station over to the highway garage for every single storm.
Yeah.
You know, they have the muscle memory down, they understand how to do it, but it just would be more efficient if it was at the highway garage, for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't give a joke this time, so I used to tell Lisa Carew, and now she's retired, I go, why, if I could get one of your 18 holes, why can't we have a 17-hole golf course and a nice big highway garage? And then I'll get the nasty look from her and say, you can't have a 17-hole golf course.
There you go.
So,
Well, cut one hole in half.
yeah, two par threes instead of a par 5.
Bingo.
There you go.
Well, I look forward to the meeting in June with at the garage. That'd be great.
That would love to have you.
Yeah.
And maybe we could throw some burgers and hot dogs on before the meeting, so.
Keep talking.
Yep, I know we can't do beer and anything else, that was, years ago, but definitely burgers and hot dogs,
All right.
so.
I have one comment, if I may, regarding the map. That was very significant to me, the map, as mentioned by Rachel, of course. Most of the red zones in the map seem to me to be neighborhoods along the Riverside Street, French, Falls Avenue, Buckingham Street corridor, in dire need of paving. Most of those houses were built back in the 40s or earlier. And as we go towards even more westbound, towards the area of Taft, there's many neighborhoods up there that were built back in the 60s, in the 70s. If we're going up north, most of those developments up north are newer homes, newer developments where the paving was done maybe correctly and not done old school. And so maybe the need would be in those more compact neighborhoods. Be they Oakville or along.
Well,
French.
even think of some of those subdivisions up north. We think of them as yesterday or last year. They were still 20 to 30 years ago, and that's what you're going to get out of a road is 20 to 30 years. So yeah, newer by 20 to 30, but a road is only going to last 20 to 30 years. So those great subdivisions up north, they're already at the end of their life cycle, and I shot it back up on the map here, to show the northern part of the town. And there's less road, so you kind of see less red. But as you come down into the center part of town, it gets more dense. And then it's really dense when you get to the southern part, for that. And if I just turn on the red, so out of the $42.68 million, I'll just turn on the red. Let me hit it one more time. Like 26. So it's 26 out of the 46. There's red in every corner of the town. It's dark in here because that's the state forest. So for it. So it's everywhere.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I have one more question. Yeah. Now, when all the contractors are, repaving the roads for us there, do we have our engineer guys out there checking to make sure they put down?
Yeah, so we have 3 engineer Tech 1s that we're trying to get a few of them to Tech 2. Because when they're out on the job, they're Tech 2s, getting the inspector's pay. They're out there we divide it up so each of them has a pavement job. So we have eyes on. They do daily inspection reports. They get the tickets from the truck for the amount of tonnage. And they also work with because a lot of residents will come out of the houses. And they'll be able to solve 95% of the problems right there in the field before they come up into the office.
They also have a spreadsheet, so they enter all the trucks and the weights, so they figure out the yield by the end of the day of how much an actual thickness went out, whole road average.
Yeah, 'cause I think that was the biggest problem in the past. Our engineer guys weren't out in the field and, you can see some roads that, you're looking if they have an inch of asphalt.
Yeah, if you're going back to a certain inspector, which we're not gonna mention.
No, I know, I just,
And there was some issues
Yeah.
with that gentleman.
yeah. But overall, I've been hearing a lot of great comments through the town about the work the highway department's doing, the roads and especially the public works.
Now, so the good thing is we do have eyes on all the projects. But what it hurts is a lot of is our window here in the office, because there's times where everybody's out in the field, especially in the summertime, that the 5 of us plus me, there's 6 of us is out, and Chris is left with the window and the phone calls, does an amazing job. But as soon as they ask for that next technical thing, something beyond a driveway permit, or I want the paper road, I want to buy the paper road. We can't give that answer at the window, because literally, probably starting last week and this week, where all of us are out in the field, which is where we have to be, because that's where all the big money's being spent from the town. Because Paul and I could be at Wilson Street, we could be at Guernsey Town, and Joe's watching the 3 inspectors at the 3 different areas in the town. I mean, who would have thought on May 6th, Hungerford and Middlebury Road, and it's only May 13th, and we got a big part of our program done already for this year.
Thank you.
Awesome. You got it.
Transfers and appropriations, next item.
Okay, transfer and appropriations. I don't have any at this meeting. I anticipate to have some for the next meeting. I really have to evaluate the budget coming into the 12th month of the year. I would like to thank Carissa and Danielle. They figured out a way of printing out our entire budget, something that we didn't have a year ago for it. I do know one of those items is engineer tech 2s that we're short on because of the inspectors with the amount of pavement that we've been putting down as to making sure for that. And I also know on highways, I just have to evaluate is we did a lot of shimming and skimming last year and a lot of detention basin cleaning. So those are the 2 accounts I know I have to make whole before we get to the end of the year.
Thank you, Jerry. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
That was good. Thank you.